everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Jade. Hey, everybody.
Ted, trust is a topic that we've talked about a lot. We've talked about clients a lot, but how can we filter in building trust with clients and building trust on brand new people that we've never met that we want to be potential clients?
Yeah. Well, trust is that big word, right? If you don't have the trust, and we hear all those things, without trust, there's no relationship. And, business relationships are no different, right? Mm-hmm. Now here, and you know this, Jade, because I introduced the AWAI staff to this trust model 7 years ago, right? And when you joined, you got introduced to it. And so here's what I'd start with. We do talk a lot about trust, right, at AWAI. And I'm sure if you're watching this today, you know that you need to build trust with your clients. But here's the thing. Out in the business world and in life, trust for me is an elusive word. Okay. Meaning when I say trust and you say trust, we may mean two different things.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What are the ingredients to trust? And so that's what I'm going to attempt to do. Now, there could be different ingredients, right, that you throw in. But I like to use this trust model because it does give us a framework to go, all right, well, this is at least a foundation of trust. And there's certain ingredients to it. It's not just this, elusive word that I know I need to go out and build trust. And so the model that I use has three components. It's in a triangle. And if you were to imagine a triangle and there's three sections, the top section, and I'm just going to walk through this quickly. The top section is the smallest section. It doesn't mean that it's the least important. It just means that by the time I get to the bottom section, that's going to be the very foundation of trust. And if you don't have this one, it's going to be harder to repair. And let me just run through this quickly, because when people think about building trust with their potential clients and or their clients, I want them to think about taking the elusiveness out of the word. And here's three ingredients to trust that I think are tried and true. So the first one at the top of the triangle is confidence. You're here with AWAI. You are building your competence, right? You're building your competence through the trainings that we offer. You're building the competence through taking courses. You're building your competence. I don't need to tell you, without competence, people don't trust you to get the job done.
Yeah.
People don't use the word trust here oftentimes in the workplace. They just go, hey, he or she can't do X, Y, or Z. The truth of the matter, what I want you to grab from me today is that it's a trust issue. Right? When you say you don't know something. So the very first thing, we talked about proof of concept last week. If you've narrowed in on what your proof of concept to be, let's just use the same example, blogging. Are you fully competent in that? Do you know how to put the words together? Do you know how to put it up on the site? Do you know how to go out after a certain audience? Like all of those different things. So competence is number one. Here's what I'd say about competence. If you're lacking trust with competence, I don't worry about it too much, because you're in the AWAI bubble and there's plenty of resources for you to become more competent. But it is an ingredient of trust. The second piece in the middle of the triangle is reliability. Be reliable.
Right? Yes.
Well, I speak about in the workplace, Jade. If you're part of a team and there's somebody that religiously shows up to the Zoom calls late, or they don't hit their deadline, guess what happens? Eventually we stop relying on them. We don't use them anymore. And so reliability, I always say, this is the one that is like death by 1,000 cuts. You told a potential client you were going to follow up with them on Friday and you forgot to. And then 3 weeks later, you told a potential client that, hey, I'll get that writing sample to you by Wednesday, and you got it to them on Thursday. They're logging all those little things, and every one time of those little things, you're becoming less reliable. So my point to here is be reliable. Reliability becomes harder to repair than that competency piece. You can go get training. I can't go give you a training on reliability. So
and in that position, Ted, as the writer, well, you might just see that you're 1 day late. You don't see the 10 people that come after you, that it delays their whole work day and puts extra pressure on them. Exactly. It's not just your contact that now has that logged in. Everybody else that comes after has that logged in. Yeah, that's a huge one.
And because we're on this short and condensed time here, like we could go through this and it would take some time. But what I'd say to your point, set realistic expectations with your potential clients and clients. Don't be that business person that says, I have to get it to them tomorrow. Mm-hmm. People will appreciate you showing up reliable by saying, hey, I need 48 hours, not 24, and deliver it then, instead of giving them a piece of garbage that you rush through and try to get it to them. And so set real expectations and then keep your word to them. So there's layers underneath that reliability piece, but we're just trying to give you today some ingredients to build trust. So keep your word, right? And I want to say this, that some of this may seem like no-brainers, but what I always tell people is, what I want you to do, and I'm giving the homework kind of prematurely here, I want you to do an audit of yourself. And if you narrowed in on your proof of concept and you said, this is what I'm going to go attempt to do in the next 3 months, and that could be leveling up your current writing business or getting that first client, I want you to audit yourself under this trust model. How competent are you in the space? How reliable are you? And are you going to be? And then this last piece, which is the foundation of trust to me, which is sincerity, right? To me, and this goes back to some of what we've talked about this month, this whole idea of being introspective and showing up authentic, a word that is, in my opinion, overly used and improperly used because we have misinterpreted what authentic means. It all leads to how sincere you are, right? Like how truthful you are with people. Are you allowing yourself to be vulnerable, or are you just trying to put your best foot forward all the time? Are you just a sincere person? Now, I want you to think about this for yourself, and then to give you an image of what I mean by sincere. Think about social media, the people that you're drawn to in social media. Are they the people that are just put outside of like TikTok and the funny stuff? But we are drawn to the people that are sincere, not the people that are posturing or putting up their new Lamborghini and all this other stuff. It's the people that are sincere and connecting with us. And I want you to think about the people that are the opposite of sincere, that are like the car salesman, or every time you talk to them, you kind of leave and go, were they just positioning something with me? Or, wow, man, it's always about them, or whatever it may be. There's a certain gut level. So I want you to hear this from me. Like sincerity sometimes is just that gut level feeling. And what gut level feeling are you promoting within people that you interact with? What are they going to say about you? Right. And so I want you to grab the sincerity piece, and then being authentic, not being afraid to be authentic, which I'm going to point to you in a second here, because I think it's a good example, because you and I had an offline conversation before filming one of these about your friend that interviewed for a job. And I think it will illustrate what I mean by sincerity and the actual end result. But we can't be afraid. I think people are waiting for us to be sincere and authentic, and then they meet us there, and then they're like, wow. And by the way, they have the other two ingredients. They're competent and they're reliable and they're sincere. I promise you, if you're up against people that are competent and reliable, but you are the one that was brave enough to be sincere and be true to yourself and authentic, you will get the job. Why? Because you already locked down the competence and the reliability piece, and other people are over here, not focusing on this last and critical piece of trust. But I want to bring back in, because I think your example of your friend. So take us back to your friend interviewed for this job up against other applicants, but you fill in the gaps of like some of her answers and whatnot.
Yeah, so I was telling Ted this story because I feel like, and I mentioned her in the previous Jumpstarts when we were talking about, just apply for everything, because you only need to be the best of the candidates and not the best of the world. And so she applied for a job that she really wasn't 100% sure if she wanted it, because it was going from part-time to full-time, which is not what she really wanted. Because like Ted always says, what is her why, and what is her core is that she wants to be home with family, right? And so if she's working full-time, how does that add up to being home with family? Like it doesn't quite mesh. And so she also, I didn't tell you this part, Ted, she had never been for a job interview before, because she had always gotten her jobs through relationships, right? Always been hired or got into the room through a relationship. So she went to like colleagues, and not colleagues, but like, people she trusted. And she said, how do I approach this if they ask me questions? Like, how do I answer? And her dad said to her, because he knew how she is, he said, You can say anything, but just don't tell them you're not ambitious. Just don't say that. So she says, I got in the room and they asked me why I wanted the job. And she was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really not ambitious. I really don't want to climb the ladder of success. I really just want a job that fulfills me, that also allows me to be home with my family and spend time with my family. And unless you're actually willing to meet me in the middle and do that for me, as well as me contribute to you at the company, this is not the right place for me. And so it really it flipped the switch on who was interviewing who, like they were on, even playing fields. Because I think so many times, even with writers, when they're going to clients, I think the clients are just giving to them and they're not giving to the client. Meanwhile, it's very even, right, in any position that you're in. And yeah, her authenticity and transparency and realness is what captured them and almost threw them off. Because, so many times on interviews and many positions and professional positions, you're on, right? You're so on. And you walk into the room and you got the shield on. My gosh, the first time I met Ted, which just tripped and fell into his lap and during my interview. look how that turned out. So yeah, I think that people crave it, that authenticity and being real. Yeah.
The reason it's such a great example, and these people that hired her trust her out of the gate.
100%.
Means what she says and she says what she means. And so they know out of the gate, they trusted her. And look, this is the bravery that I'm asking of everybody that we're with today.
Yeah.
To be willing to speak the truth. We talked about this episodes ago. What I don't want is people, I'm going to say it like I mean it, BSing their way into getting a client or a job like your friend. And now they're in a position right. And even, by the way, if you're being interviewed or you're up with a potential client, they've had this conversation hundreds of times trying to interview somebody or get somebody in. So they know the BS radar's up.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doubling down on this. Be brave, be willing to go there. And guess what? You won't land with everybody. But I love Jade's example because there's so much richness in it. One, she got the job.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the end result. She got the job because she was real. And then two, they trust her out of the gate, that's the topic that we're addressing today. And
to circle back to some other things that we've mentioned before, Ted, say they say no to you. You don't need everybody to say yes. The sweet spot for writers is 3 to 5 clients. So 3 to 5, like we've said, in this whole sphere is all you need to say yes. You don't need every single person to align with you, to agree with what you're saying, to feel kin to you, whatever it is, just and then your relationships. Another thing we talked about.
Those yeses, when they come, because they will come, those yeses are going to be fulfilling and also financially good because they're hiring you for you and your skill set, the competency, the reliability, and most importantly, that sincerity piece.
Yeah.
You're not going to be looking over your friend. She's not going to be looking over her shoulder.
No.
When she says, I need to do something with my child because she said it in her interview.
Yeah, 100%. But as well, what I love about what you said with getting everybody on the same playing field or same understanding of this, I feel like that's such a great way to interact with the clients. That hey, listen, I just want you to know that if you work with me, my vow to you type of thing is that I have the competency, I have the skills, I will always be reliable, and I will tell you when I'm going to get your stuff, even if I need more time, I'll be open with you, and that you can completely know that whoever shows up is fully and authentically me. That is my promise to you. I feel like that would be huge to tell somebody out of the gate. I love that.
It's a big one, the trust thing. And, I could give you many, many, many examples. I'll end with this one because I do believe the trust, the thing and going about things and being sincere. And I'm not necessarily recommending this, but I was so hell-bent on building authentic, trusting relationships with the people that I was lucky enough that believed in me to work with me. I, to date, have never had a written contract.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd recommend that for people, but it was my way of, shaking hand or hugging with somebody and saying, let's do this. Again, trust. The layers of trust you're trying to build with your clients is going to be big.
Yeah, huge. Well, thank you for another week of in-depth knowledge, Ted, and look into your heart and brain. It's much appreciated. And I hope everybody out there is enjoying this. Let us know what you want us to cover again. Pop it in the comments. I go back and I look and make sure that we're making sure that we're covering any topics that are on top of mind, like these ones that we spoke about these weeks. But we will see everybody next week. So thank you, Ted.
Cool. Take care, everybody.